Welcome, everybody, to this week's Facebook Live of IMMPact Litigation. Frank Siskin, Jeff Joseph, Lily Axelrod joining us, and Chuck Cook here. Great to have you all with us. Lily, again, thank you for joining us from the cabinet room. That's great. So let's go ahead and start with the biggest news, of course, today's filing. Lily, do you want to talk about that?
So I wasn't involved in preparation of this case, but I'm happy to share the happy news that we have filed the mandamus lawsuit for the spouses of U.S. citizens who are stuck in Cairo. So all of our Cairo spouse plaintiffs, thank you for your patience. We're really happy to have that filed. You probably already received an email from Jana, and if you haven't, you will shortly with more information about next steps.
You recall the name? I don't recall the name of the case.
I will pull it up 1 second.
I think this is the first case we've done just for spouses.
Yes, it is. It is the first one for spouses.
I believe it's Abdelwahed. I'm sorry, Mr. or Ms. Abdelwahed, if I am butchering your name. You can let us know in the comments how to pronounce it.
So that's pending. Next steps, we'll get with you guys, with the folks that are in that lawsuit. Jeff, you want to talk about where we are with GO, the DV 2021 case?
Yeah, so GO has been filed. The summonses have been served on the U.S. attorney. So the clock is now ticking for the 60 days. We had a very, very productive call with the U.S. attorney today on that case. And, you know, the interesting thing is that a lot of the issues in the GO case have already been litigated. We've already litigated them in another case called Gomez with Judge Mehta. And Judge Mehta is on this case. He's assigned to this case, so he's very aware of the legal issues. That works to our advantage. So our position with the U.S. attorney and what we conveyed today is that we really don't think that there's a reason to go like round 12 on this issue, right? It's already been battled. We've already fought about it. So why don't we just move straight to summary judgment? What that means is, you know, go straight from where we are today to a final decision. And we would like that final decision, obviously, to happen as quickly as possible because we're up against the clock once again of September 30th for 2021. So even in the normal circumstances, the government would have 60 days from the date we filed to file some sort of an answer. And what we're asking is, let's just bypass that part of the answer. Let's sort of enter a consolidated briefing schedule, and you can combine your motion to dismiss with your answer to our summary judgment. So the U.S. attorney is going to take that back to his client now. If they agreed to this, we would be on an expedited schedule that would put briefing accomplished and finished sometime mid-June and oral arguments right after that. So that would give the government, you know, essentially 4 months to resolve, if we win, 4 months to resolve the DV cases. Now, that doesn't mean that the government's not going to be trying to do stuff in the meantime, because we're, I think, the fourth case on DV 2021. And from what I understand, there's going to be another that's going to be filed as well. So,
and I don't know what the status of those are. They may be behind us, they may be in front of us. But it seems like a lot of the judges defer to Judge Mehta, and we're the only one with Judge Mehta. Right. So I think that's what we're looking at. We're ready to go. Again, a great meeting with the council. And I think we're in pretty good shape there as far as things go on GO. And yes, we know how much time is left in the year. We did, because calendar. I've got a calendar here in my office. Remember, one of the things that we're asking for in GO that I don't know if anybody else is asking for, and that's the preservation of the numbers. Right. So that all of our clients have an opportunity, because our clients are all over the number scale. All right. So we want to reserve the visas through whenever they're issued. And again, this is something the judge has already done actively in the Gomez case. And I think we've got a pretty good argument given our new shadow notice to them at day one that we have to do this. So I think we're in good shape there. And we remain confident. Jeff, do you want to mention how many DV visas were issued in March?
Oh, yeah, there was a lot issued. There was a whopping, in the entire globe, there was a whopping 20 DV cases granted in the month of March. So that's like exhibit A, B, C, D, F. I mean, for us in this case, it's just
when they had no bar. They knew there was no bar. They just didn't do them.
Well, and they look. I mean, they were saying for quite a while that they, that there was a bar on issuing the visas, but there's no reason why they couldn't have been working on all these cases and started as soon as it was lifted, started having them queue up. They're going to likely respond saying, "We just got started. We'll issue a bunch of these over the summer, and they'll be, but the question is going to be, what were you doing on these cases all year round? There was nothing to assume that this ban was going to stay in force forever. They had an expiration date, so you should have assumed that when that expiration date was lifted, you needed to have these cases ready to go. And there's no evidence they did anything during the first part of this fiscal year.
Even when they knew they were going to lose Annunziata if Biden didn't lift this.
It doesn't even matter. Even if they thought they were going to win those cases, ultimately this immigrant visa ban had an expiration date. They should have assumed that was when that was gone, it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're in good shape there. Just a brief update on Annunziata. I will tell you that government counsel has not communicated with us last week. We'll be reaching out to her early this week. She is required to file a motion to dismiss this week. So she may just be going for a motion to dismiss, and we'll contest that for our remaining 25 plaintiffs. We're also trying to seek your interviews at the consulate. So we have a pending mandamus complaint that's been filed and been answered, and we'll see what the judge does with that. That's where we are on Annunziata. I don't have anything else on Annunziata. On the Fong case, this is the EB-5s. The government counsel has not gotten back to me. I left a couple messages today. I'll reach out to him again after this call because he's actually in California and see if he picks up his phone later in the day, see if I can't get an update. And we'll email that update to you, EB-5 folks, I would say probably tomorrow once we get that directly from them. We just email you directly on that. All right. We've got a bunch of K1 stuff going on, Jeff. You want to talk about the K1 stuff? Lily, Greg, we got Milligan. Let's start with Milligan.
Sure. Do you want to talk about the, I guess you talked about the report with the judge last week.
Yeah, and there was a question somebody was asking about getting a redacted version of that. I don't know if where that is as far as who's working on that, but I will find out.
As far as the redacted status report only mentions two names, and they're plaintiffs that I have permission to name them. So I'm not too concerned about publicizing the status report with the names. They're two Montreal plaintiffs that have been waiting for a very long time and have been very active in these calls. So I don't think they're too concerned about their names being revealed.
Okay. So maybe we could get that out to folks on the Twitter machine and
sure.
Email. And as far as we keep getting folks notifying us in the Milligan case that they're getting interviewed. A lot of round 3 people getting interviewed, a lot of round 2 people. Except there's that one country, besides Montreal, there's that other country. What is that? I think it's Manila.
That's the one. That's the one. Our Manila folks are still stuck as far as I can.
I have to tell you, when we talk to government counsel about that, I'm not going to reveal the depth of the conversation, but they're, he gets the problem. And I think there's a level of frustration there as well. That this embassy is way, way, way outside the norm, which of course, literally they can explain because we just sued them directly.
Yep, they're going to have to explain. We filed the Ramirez complaint last week, so that's a similar to Milligan, but just for K1 cases stuck in Manila. So we are asking them to adjudicate those cases timely. We haven't had any response to that. That was just filed, so we're just in the waiting period right now.
On that though, Jeff, I thought I saw something today that you may have sent around.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Ramirez. Did we get a service notice back on Ramirez?
We did. So yes, the government has been served, and that's important on all these cases that we just recently filed. Once we get notification that the government's been served, that's what starts that 60-day clock, right? So what the government's now required to do is enter their appearance on the case. And if they don't do that soon, then I will be calling the head of the civil division and saying, who the hell is the attorney on this case so that we can start talking to them. because these smaller mandamus cases, we really don't want to litigate them. We really want to avoid litigation, right? We want the government just to go in and approve these cases so we don't even have to go to court in the next 60 days. So very important that we start the conversation as early as possible with the government.
And I don't recall who was assigned as our judge in Ramirez. Do you recall that, Jeff?
Let me see here. I can look it up. Just give me 2 seconds here.
I'll give you 2 seconds. Oh, it was Judge Cooper, Christopher Cooper.
That's right.
You find it right here. So not a bad judge. It's not Judge Boasberg, but again, these guys all work in the same building, right? They have lunch. I don't know if they have lunch together anymore, but they all talk.
Their clerks are chatting with each other.
You sure they are.
These crazy mandamus cases.
See a whole bunch of Department of State getting sued cases. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. What's going on with these days? What are they doing? Well, here's what I wrote an opinion on that case about Romeo and Juliet. So they share this stuff there, and they try to be consistent within each district. So I think it's pretty solid there. And our Rio case is also filed, I think been served. That TikTok is running. We're just waiting for the government counsel to enter their appearance, which I suspect will happen this week. I forced that to happen in Go by contacting the head of the civil division. Fortunately, we got a guy we knew. So we'll see who we get in these other cases and see what we can do to push this along. Murillo is not as bad as Manila in the context of they're at least trying at the embassy. Whereas Manila, they don't even care. They just don't care. And that's really been an embassy policy for decades. They just don't care. Everybody's a brown folder. Just a brown folder.
COVID is their excuse now, but as
there's always an excuse, right?
Manila shenanigans is nothing new, especially with the case.
There. And we're dismissing the Tate complaint tomorrow because the 01s all got their visas. We do have an active sign up for 01s. If you want to join us, we're going to file again because the only Schengen area, they're being denied because they won't give them an NIE now, which is illegal. I keep losing this issue. I don't get it. We'll sue them again. So there's a sign up for that on visalaw.com, mass litigation. You can go on and pick that out. I think I may even have a banner here that should have that in it somewhere.
And what about for folks who are already plaintiffs in the Kinsley suit but are 01s? There are a couple of those.
If they're 01s and they want to transfer over, if we get enough, they don't count towards the minimum plaintiffs, but they will be transferred over free of charge if we get enough plaintiffs. Which brings us
we're still pretty light on plaintiffs. For that.
Plaintiffs, right? So
we gotta get the word out.
Yeah. So Jeff, do you want to talk briefly about Kinsley, about where we are on Kinsley? Jeff, you went silent.
I unmuted myself because I wasn't sure if I'm the echoer, but Kinsley is filed, as you know. We drew the same judge Judge Boasberg that we had on the Milligan case. That's wonderful news for us. Why? Because he's already ruled on this issue. He's already ruled that the proclamations are illegal. Now, the difference between the Kinsley case and the Milligan case is that the Milligan case had an underlying mandamus claim in addition to the proclamation claim. And that was because everyone was similarly situated. We were talking about the same visa classification. It would be nearly impossible to litigate a mandamus with hundreds of plaintiffs that have 16 different types of situations that they're dealing with at 16 different levels of processing. It would just be impossible. So the truth is, the proclamations having been lifted, there's not a lot more to litigate in Kinsley. That being said, we're going to keep it out there until the government pushes us on this, right? Because the government's eventually going to come in and say, look, there's no longer an injury. There's no longer harm here. The proclamation's been lifted. You need to dismiss the case. I think that's correct to a certain extent, right? Here's our argument. What we're going to make is why we think it can stay alive. Because the state is free to change their mind at any point, and they've done that in the past. And as long as the proclamation exists, we will continue to litigate the legal viability of the proclamation. So we won't just roll over and agree that the case should be dismissed. We will.
There's a big chunk of our plaintiffs in that case who are still under the proclamations on there. I mean, the K1s there's a big portion of them that are K1s.
That's right. Yeah. The proclamation only got lifted for certain classifications. So
it didn't get lifted, right? They say,
Right.
oh yes, the proclamation applies to you, but we're granting
Exactly.
a blanket NIE. But they could turn around and say tomorrow, that's not our policy anymore. The proclamation was as written applies to you, and we can't just remove people from it without a new presidential proclamation or whatever.
We'd have a harder
still
time with that case
insisting
if they
on.
applied. Right, we'd have a harder time in that case if they applied the NIE to everybody. But just by limiting it to immigrant visas and K-1s, the case is very much alive.
Yeah.
And of course,
And that doesn't mean, remember, that you can't still pursue a mandamus. You absolutely can pursue a mandamus as a separate lawsuit if you choose to do that. That's not a problem.
And of course, there is the J1 component to this lawsuit, which we're working with Ayla on, and we'll be in touch this week with the J1 folks about that specific option that we are proposed moving forward on. All right, I don't think I missed anything. I may have.
The only other thing I'd throw out there, Chuck, is that we are onboarding another case for Moscow to challenge the failure to prosecute or adjudicate cases, K-1s in Moscow. We're about halfway to the number of plaintiffs, so we need a lot more. But if we get to that number, we will be filing the Moscow case too. So we need
Moscow.
We're a little more than halfway.
We're almost
like
three-quarters of the way.
Three-quarters.
Oh, good. Okay.
Moscow presents a very interesting dilemma for the Department of State because we just kicked out a dozen Russian diplomats, and I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they're going to kick out a dozen American diplomats, and those include consular officers.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just include like a resident CIA agent who pretends to be a butler or whatever they do. I don't know. Greg probably knows. I don't know these things, so they have a personnel problem, but part of the lawsuit is, okay, Moscow can't do it. We understand. What about Kalmati? What about Kiev? What about Warsaw? Fix the problem. That's what these cases are more than just about get the consulate to issue the visa. It's give us a damn plan. What is your plan? Like in the Go case, what is their plan to issue 53,000 DV visas in the next 6 months? They don't have a plan.
5 months.
They don't have a plan. There's no plan. So, we want to know what the plan is. Share the plan. When a plan, nothing beats a plan coming together. If you need a plan, I think we got a plan, but they're not asking us yet. I think they will eventually. All right, let's take some questions here.
Can we?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but while we're still on Moscow, I think our website said that 5 p.m. Central, about 18 minutes ago, was the close. So, assuming we're hoping to have a few more plaintiffs this evening.
Yeah, we won't close it until this evening, certainly. And if we need to, if we get a lot of indications that the people are scrambling over the next 24 hours, while we're working on preparing this, basically the way it works with these cases for the onboarding is we will start, if we think we have enough plaintiffs to proceed, we will make the decision first, is there enough? And then we will, over the course of the next week to 2 weeks, be working on the drafting of the litigation. And if somebody comes in, early enough that we can still get them in, we'll get them in. So the fact that it expired 18 minutes ago doesn't mean we won't allow you in, but we will not guarantee we will anymore on there. So if you want to get into that case, you're going to have to move pretty quickly.
And I don't know how I forgot all the new news on the Gomez-Acker case. There isn't any. The judge has not set a hearing date. And that's one of the reasons that we want to have a meeting with the judge on the Go case. Because remember, the Gomez case, why the Gomez case is taking so long is that we did a preliminary injunction here, an emergency hearing. Judge, it's an emergency. Because the year is it's an emergency. But we didn't do the whole part of the case. That happened in January, February, and March. Whereas in Go, we're going to do the whole part of the case and skip this first stuff because we have time to do that. But they're basically the same issue. He's the same judge. Maybe he wants to do them together. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to hear two identical oral arguments on the same exact issue. We'll see. We'll see. But that's for right now. There is no update. We don't know anything more about the visa numbers. We don't know how they're going to do anything. And no, the KCC is not working on DV 2020. All right. All right. John Shields, Milligan, round 3. Okay, let me see if we sent our visa.
Yay.
Hey, John, congratulations. Awesome news.
Send
Katarina's
us your pictures. We want to see your reunion pictures and your wedding pictures.
That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. Syed, I just gave you the update. You're good. I love this. I love Gus. Gus, good best. Why can't you just move my sister's case from NBC to Montreal and be done with it?
Because your sister is one of 2.6 million people stuck in the backlog.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I agree, Gus. It makes no sense. There are some things that make sense. You know, we know how the process works. Doesn't always work well, but it works. These are the kind of things that go, I don't understand this. This would literally take them 15 minutes to fix. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Being obstinate, I guess, is more important than being just. Welcome to the world. Milligan round 3, scheduled in Frankfurt. Awesome. Great news. Sonia's calling in from Armenia, but it's got to be early in the AM. Jennifer, any updates for Penn versus Blinken? Jeff, you're muted again.
I think it's
That's our Brazil.
Yeah. So there's no updates. It's been served. I don't recall. Let me look up the judge, and I'll get back to you on the judge. But we're in that period where we're just kind of waiting for the U.S. attorney to enter their appearance. I will on all these cases reach out to the civil division attorney if I don't hear by the end of the week, and find out who the attorney is assigned to all of them and start making phone calls so that I have an update for you next week.
It's that guy.
Yeah, the civil division chief. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
super nice guy. Probably because he doesn't have to handle the cases himself. We only have, Amy, I think 2 plaintiffs.
No, it's like 4.
So
There's
we're
4.
not close. Milligan joint status report. I think we can get that out.
Yeah, so I will redact the report because I think some people, I've gotten some private things to redact it. So I will redact it and circulate it.
Michaela, good to see you. I love that she thinks Lily's beautiful. I think that's awesome. I know she's not talking about her. NBC.
Use the plural. That's confusing.
I know, beautiful peoples. NBC.
She's talking to all the other commenters. That's not her.
Oh, there you go.
That's what it is. And we
All the other beautiful
There's a whole
people.
side conversation going on that we're like not paying attention to.
Because I was like, I know she's not talking about the 4 of us.
NBC won't send the K1 to London until everybody tells them internally. Website and said, don't matter them. I'm a Kinsley plaintiff. Any updates or emails result in generic response. We kind of gave an update on the Kinsley stuff. And what we said before is make sure you email both NBC and the consulate in the same email so they don't point to each other. London is setting interviews, at least as far as I know, in July and August, because I looked at Greg's chart and there's appointments going out, so they're doing them. But again, the consulate and Department of State not making accommodations to go close to full on. Now, Greg, the USCIS office in Memphis, how are they doing these days?
They're managing.
They're trucking.
In Atlanta, they are pumping it out.
People are getting green cards. People are getting interviewed.
And they're going and they're processing citizenship cases very fast.
Is churning out the work. Department of Labor is a little slow, but we're still getting labor shirts approved. And then the Department of State says, COVID, we're sick. There's no more excuse about vaccines. They've all been if they haven't been vaccinated, they should impeach Joe Biden. All right. So I'm sure they've been. Did I say that out loud? I mean, don't. It's really too early.
They're still researching whether video actually works over the internet. They're not sure.
Wouldn't it work? I haven't seen it anywhere before. Could be somebody fake. It could be a cat.
It could be a cat.
Somebody's going to go through all that trouble putting a fake picture up that match with the lips moving and the eyes moving and all that stuff to try to convince a consular officer to give a visa. Yeah, that's going to happen.
They should have a conversation with the judges in the courts when we do our hearings, which are all by video, and it just seems to work just fine.
Unless you're a cat, and then of course you got problems. All of our Moscow plaintiffs, we've had a lot of you. This is in the DV.
John Kirsakov.
One of our DV plaintiffs emailed 13 consulates asking to transfer the case, and 9 of them didn't even answer, and the other 4 basically said, no, we can't take you. That's the kind of thing that needs to happen, though, is really as we set them up. If you're doing that and you get a lot of really obnoxious responses, or we're not doing visas, we're doing transfers, you can email them to me. I'm kind of collecting that stuff, or to Aaron. All right.
But here's the thing, though, Chuck, is that we cannot help people. We cannot help people transfer their cases. That is beyond the scope of what we've been hired to do. And frankly, we're not your lawyers. We don't represent you on your K1s. They won't even talk to us without.
This actually wasn't K1, it's on DVs that I'm really focused on.
Yeah.
Because we just want that in the evidence for the complaint. Say, look, Judge, all of our folks are trying their hardest to
But what I want to make clear is I don't want to get a million emails tonight from people asking me to help them transfer their case. That's not what we're hired to do.
Jeff has a lot of emails from vacation he's still getting through. Although, Jeff, you spent a lot of time on your iPhone, I think.
I do.
Yeah.
You weren't vacationing as much as you should have been.
I know.
We will not help you transfer cases. You need to try that. First of all, I'll see you again. May we tell Casey where go? No, you should not be telling. Look. There's no order in the case. All right, they don't know go from stop. All right, they don't know what this is. The KCC are a bunch of people in Kentucky. It's Kentucky, no, Vermont. In Vermont.
Kentucky.
KCC.
KCC's in Vermont. I get them confused. Or New Hampshire.
My native state. I know that one.
Yeah. So they're in Kentucky. They're listening to bluegrass music and smoking tobacco and watching horse races. They don't know anything about go. It's not going to make any difference. We prefer that you not do it. All right. Moscow checking in. What's the latest? We talked about that right away. The go case has plaintiffs all through the spectrum. So interview ready to KCC is ignoring you all the way through the spectrum. So yes. Let's see. Cairo spouse case. Lily updated us already on that. So that's good. We'll see what happens with that. I think
we drew a judge on that one too.
We did. Who did we get? Oh, we got Cooper.
Yes. No. No.
We got the other guy. The 42-year-old.
Yeah, the younger guy.
He's younger guy. He's younger than judge. I mean, he's not younger than Lily, but he's younger than all the rest of us. Here, 42.
Yeah. Where's my federal judgeship?
He's going to be on the bench a long time.
He's a Trump appointee, but he has held the line a bit against Trump on the border wall and on the tax return issue. He's the judge assigned to the tax returns.
He was a U.S. attorney. He's a Federalist guy, but that's actually good for us. We're just asking people to follow the law. So I think it's a good draw for that case. Also, keep in mind that supposedly they have prioritized immediate relatives, right? That's the new priority. So with this moving forward, now we'll get them served the next day or so. Hopefully get a U.S. attorney on board and go from there. All right. Let's see. Did we find the judge from Manila case? Is that Cooper or is that?
It's Tim Kelly, Judge Timothy Kelly.
Oh, he's good. I've had him before on cases.
Yeah,
he's a good guy. No nonsense. Just like a lot of these judges, they're for those of you who know about immigration court, these are not immigration judges. All right, they're straight shooters for the most part. They're not out there, most of them making a political agenda. There are those guys in the federal judiciary, but I think they're far and few between. David Bridle, Kinsley going to be filed to get to the consulate plaintiff. Kinsley versus Blinken has been pending for a while. You could certainly do that. Put pressure on them. That's perfectly fine. They know you guys.
I've heard from a lot of you, Kinsley plaintiffs, especially those of you in London. A lot of you have forwarded to me what you've sent to the consulate and to the NVC and the generic responses you're getting back. So it doesn't sound like that consulate in particular is making a point to prioritize Kinsley plaintiffs, but a lot of our Kinsley plaintiffs have received appointments or have had their cases sent from the NVC to the consulate. So I'm going to email all of you either this evening or tomorrow, the Kinsley plaintiffs, to give you a link to our update form so that you have an easy way to share updates on your case rather than emailing me. I apologize to those of you I haven't gotten back to yet who have shared your updates by email with me, but that'll make it easier for you to share information with us.
As far as K2s, did the intake ask for the names of any children in there? I can't recall.
It doesn't. I've talked to at least one person who the K1 is already in the U.S., but the K2 minor child is stuck at NVC. So if you have that situation, give us the K1 petitioner and beneficiary, the couple, the fiancés, and then let us know as you build the declaration, explain, it'll spit you out something you can edit. So explain
Right.
there,
So I think we were asked the question about whether that type of the case was appropriate for Moscow. And my opinion was it was okay for a K2 that it didn't just have to be the principal only. If a K2 is still stuck, that's close enough. But Jeff, I don't know what you think on that.
If it had just got to the NVC
or just the K2.
The K2 is stuck at NVC and the K1 is already in the States, so they're separated.
I think that's a compelling case, and I would be less worried about the timing than the reasons why the delay is unreasonable, right? To me, that's
but I mean, there was just a question of it's the person's not a K1, they're a K2, and it's.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Just let us know.
Okay.
Explain the
I think it's
declaration
close
so we know
enough.
who it's for.
I think it's related enough that we can include a K2 derivative.
Mi Juan, ni hao ma. I gave it. I'm fluent. I'm practicing my Mandarin. All right.
He's doing that Duolingo.
Duolingo. I mean, I'm stuck on ni hao ma. That's all I really have. Mi Juan, I give you an update earlier in the show, and you'll be getting email tomorrow with more of an update. If the Go case wins, are plaintiffs going to get regardless of what the embassy says in that country? Well, that's a good question, Sona. What we're trying to avoid, and we talked to the government about this, is the nightmare that was Gomez.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like the day at Black Friday at Macy's in New York in 1995. I mean, we're not, that's a cultural reference you need to understand if you're coming to America eventually. We don't need that kind of madness, all right? They need to develop a process. It will likely be in case order, likely, and it will hopefully push the plaintiffs along faster as well. All right, be the squeaky wheel. Right now, DV 2020, yes, I don't see any problem being the squeaky wheel. Dude, they're interviewing people. Why aren't they interviewing you? If you're at the NBC, I'd be in a KCC. I interview them every week at least. Say, dude, my number's low. I mean, if you got the last number and if you're number 131,000, well, you might not get a visa, okay? But if you're low for your country and KCC is sitting on it, I would pound them. I'd pound them with emails and calls. If you're interview ready, I would be emailing both the consul and the KCC saying, what's going on, I know you guys look at the CEC numbers, you see who gets interviewed. Be the squeaky wheel. They are taking cases. The question is, how are they determining what cases to take? I don't know. We are still adding a waiting list to Go. You can go to that waiting list somewhere here that I've put up before and seem to have deleted. I will
find it.
I will. No, I can do it. I need to just go to the website and just copy and paste the link there. So we're still adding, right, Greg? Do we know how many we have?
We have a waiting list. There's like hundreds of people on it, but but I don't, we're not ready to make any kind of announcement on what
we're not going to make an announcement yet. So you can join that list by going to this link and signing up. There you go. Waiting list for Go. All right. Waiting list for Go. Let's see. Scrolling down a little bit. Jenny, I told you earlier I haven't talked to the government lawyer. He didn't answer my phone call. Maybe he doesn't like me. Maybe he's not at work. I don't know. But I'm going to call after this call because he's in California. So let's see. We talked about K1 earlier. Martin, what's the update? Hoorah, Martin!
Yay!
Martin,
that's great news.
Congratulations. That's wonderful, wonderful news. We don't have an attorney in the Manila mandamus yet, so no response from them yet on that. Let's see. Go versus Blinken, we are focused on plaintiffs only. But because our plaintiffs are in the broad spectrum of numbers, that's why we believe reservation of numbers is appropriate beyond that of our plaintiffs to ensure that they get picked in that process. All right.
It's not a class action, right?
No.
I mean, we haven't filed it as a class action. So, at least, historically what the courts have done, unless they create a blanket rule that basically says Department of State has to prioritize all DV applicants worldwide, they are going to be focusing on named plaintiffs only. They really can't do much more because we're not asking them to do more than focus on named plaintiffs. Official
Measy says his embassy is work issuing DVs. Okay. Well, if we win, of course we're going to fight for our clients. That's what we do. Love John apologizes, Lily, for the daily emails. He doesn't mind. All right.
No apologies. I haven't been able to respond to every single individual one, but that'll help when we have the case update for you.
Now, for Cairo plaintiffs, I know, Lily, you said an email went out or about to go out to them about the next steps for them, right? So stay tuned for that. Whoa.
Wow, that's great news. So you're okay. That's good news.
You're the only one.
I better hear from them.
They better tell us they have an appointment. That would be helpful.
I know who it is, so I've been
I think the government was really, because that's plainly noted in the status report, and I bet you they were really embarrassed to have to put that in there. I mean, they were. Bonet, anybody can change embassies if you can convince another embassy to take you. Perfectly legal. But you have to convince the other embassy to take you. Right.
And I think, didn't we get one transferred from Lima in round 1 to Guayaquil? I feel like we did.
I think we did. That was a K. Well, yes. But that was K1. This is DV 2020.
Okay, got it. Sorry.
Yeah. You got to email. If you're at the KCC, then you should be emailing them. But I would email the consulate first. Say, I'm at the KCC. I have a low number. I'm eligible to be interviewed. Would you set an appointment for me there? And you have to ask. You keep in mind, Peru's got a big. They're a no travel country from the U.S. Right now, and so it's a problem. I mean, it's going to be a problem.
Especially for you, Chuck.
Yeah, it sucks. I was going to go to Ecuador this weekend and visit some friends over the weekend. And Ecuador, while only a level 3 country, their outgoing president, who lost the election, basically is closing the country from Friday at 5 till Monday at 8, which is when I was going to be there. So we had to put that at home. Milligan round 3. I'm not going to complete consultation. Yes.
Yeah,
Woo!
this is good news. So a couple themes that I want to point out from the string of comments is that consulates that we've had a problem with in the past, like Amsterdam and Dublin, are moving, right? So it's the word is just be patient. I know that round 3, when we first filed, everybody was concerned that things are not moving, and we told you to be patient, and they are. So so it's good news on several grounds.
And I only put this comment up because it's General Grievous, and if you don't take General Grievous's questions, he's going to use the force or something against you. You're probably dead. Yes, you can transfer your case if you can get another consulate to take us. And that's actually something we'll be arguing in the Gomez case too. So, Judge, I think you have the authority to tell state to make accommodations, because he already did that in his original order, I think, back in last September. Let's see. We can't tell the judge to come up with new stuff to change new rules for the State Department. We can ask the judge to order him to fix the problem and then see what they come up with in a status report. That's what and it's really the status reports that we'll be getting in this case, through September, that will then determine, I think, what the judge does ultimately in the case. No problem reaching out to senators. If you got that, do it. If you got them, smoke them. Let's see. That's another American euphemism you're going to have to learn when you come over here, even for those of us who don't smoke.
From the most
those of you in Amsterdam, I'm sure, are already familiar.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure they got that one right. Make sure I got the right. There we go. Let's see. Plaintiff Ramirez starting. I don't know. I mean, our guess is you will start getting interviewed, is my guess. But again, patience. They have 60 days to respond.
Yeah, I think the question here is more specific, though, is, so the Ramirez case is specific K1s, right? To what happens to the Milligan plaintiffs who
Right.
have no movement.
I think they're going to be continue to be scheduled.
Yeah, it'll be the same. They're both mandamus claims. So.
Yeah.
If there was a difference where people in the new case were getting interviewed and not the Milligan plaintiffs, we would have a conversation very quickly with the DOJ lawyer of trying to figure out why that was the case.
I'm guessing the Milligan judge would be interested in that.
On that note, we really appreciate you all sticking to the protocols and filling out the case status sheet. If there are emergencies, however, if you have surgeries or serious emergencies that request for expedite, and you submit a request for expedite and it's being turned down, please do escalate those to us personally, because depending on the case, we will raise those with the U.S. attorney. And to his credit, he's taking those cases seriously.
All right, F2As. We do not have a case on F2As, mostly because there's such a distinction between consulates, waiting times. I mean, for example, there are F2As in Mexico that have been waiting 3 years for an interview. And there may be an F2A in Indonesia that's waiting 3 months. We can't justify putting them in the same lawsuit. You just can't. They're not the same thing. Plus, they're supposedly interviewing family. I mean, that's kind of where you are. Since we just filed this case last week, have a little patience. We have the judge waiting for the government lawyer on this case.
But I would say, 7 couples have stuck, but several have been scheduled right after we filed the lawsuit from Egypt.
Yeah.
So they are moving the K1s.
Yeah.
There's a question about Curtis Morrison's lawsuits. We don't track Curtis Morrison's lawsuits. We have nothing to do with Curtis and Morrison's lawsuits. Frankly, I don't care about Curtis and Morrison's lawsuits. Ours are separate. We care about our clients. We want to get our clients the visas, period. And none of our cases are affiliated anymore. Only the Gomez case is the only case, okay? Good night from the Czech Republic. Okay, you're welcome. No, there's no round 4 in Milligan. Is that right, Jeff?
God, no.
No more. All right, let's see. Will they continue to recognize NIE for K1s? Well, if they don't, honestly, they've got a big freaking problem if they don't. So I do think they'll continue to be there. Ryan is not happy with the folks in Moscow. Ryan, there would be nobody left in Moscow, honestly. Last guy out, turn the lights off. I mean, they already closed Vladivostok and Ekaterinburg. I mean, they may close Moscow at a certain point. It could happen. Who did they nominate? Greg, did you see a nomination?
I did. I forget who it is. Shoot, I sent it to you all through the impact list. Let me look it up.
Oh, it must have been while we were on the call.
I've missed a lot of emails so far.
I must have missed that email among the vows that are coming in. I mean, I'm just kind of curious as to who that might be. See if you can pull that up, Jeff. That would be good.
Yeah, it's Rena Bitter.
Tell us about Rena Bitter.
Rena Bitter is a career member of the Senior Foreign Service class of Minister Counselor, is Dean of the Leadership and Management School at the State Department's Foreign Service Institute, and a former U.S. ambassador to the Lao People's Democratic Republic.
Oh, I did hear about her.
Yeah, previously.
Obviously, it's somebody who's a career person who's got a lot of experience in this, which
she served in Vietnam, Jordan, London, Bogota, Mexico City, and in D.C. she was director of the State Department Operations Center and special assistant to the Secretary of State.
She knows how to run things.
Right. Well, and the good news is it sounds like somebody who'll have a quick confirmation. I don't think that they're going to give her any problems.
That'll be good. All right. IR1 delays, Catalin. There's IR1 delays in the whole world. That's why they went from 75,000 to 2.5 million case backlog. It just depends on where you are. I don't have a general update, but I do know this. Every consulate has said they are prioritizing IR1s. They've said that out loud. So if they're doing interviews and only giving visitor visas out, they're breaking the rules. All right. And I guess it's still, end of April is this week. We probably won't get the April visa numbers until mid-May, but we'll see if they've really lived up to their promise here. Okay. Let's see. Foreign plaintiff from Germany, but in the U.S. Document request received. Doc sent a while back. Your opinion doesn't make sense. Soren, this is something we cannot advise you on a YouTube video. You need to talk to legal counsel, really good immigration lawyer, wherever it is that you live in the United States for your option in that regard, because there's certain rules about this, and a lot depends on your local immigration office and ability to get this done. All right.
Yeah, but please do that before you leave the country.
Yeah.
It's really important that you get some good legal advice before you leave the country.
Okay. Ayub, go back to the first 3 minutes of the program. All right, we talked about this there. France, for round 3 interview on 22nd, we'll leverage on the Marion because God, I love the post office. Sorry about that. That's the long way to Germany. It's a long way to Germany. I'm glad she was able to bring that with you. All right. Let's see.
One point on this that's kind of related is if you don't have a lawyer, I think it's worth having a consult with a lawyer to prep you for your interviews. To what kind of questions are going to be asked? What if you have do you have a crime on your record? What kind of documents do you need to bring to the interview? These kind of questions, you need to be well prepped so that there's not further delays when you get to the interview. So if you don't have a lawyer, feel free to reach out to any of our firms. Just schedule a consult. We can probably prep you in an hour for what you need to know for your interview.
Did you smoke weed last night?
Very, very important.
The question is no. What?
Unless you've got
so
a drug
don't
test
smoke weed before an interview.
We brought that issue up on our National Day of Action meeting with my congressman to urge him to write legislation to formally make that no longer a thing.
We'll see what happens. I don't think the federal government's reluctance just to legalize this. I mean, they could tax the heck out of it. They can make billions off of this stuff.
Legal in 2/3 of the states now. They need to move on.
And really, it's immigrants that pay the price for this.
Yeah.
Immigrants are the target of that federal law. All right.
Nope.
Emma Hart. Emma, yes, your 03 children in London it's not Tate round 3. It's just an 01 piece. They can join that. You can go ahead and get on the waiting list, as I put up earlier.
Well, the 01 onboarding is happening now. You don't have to get on a waiting list.
Yeah, well, that's right. 01 onboarding. I'm sorry.
So I have a question. I actually don't know the answer to this though. Is if you have an 01 visa, do your dependents qualify for an NIE?
They just said O's.
My understanding is that families can join them.
Absolutely.
So too. So I don't know why you would. I think you should try for the 03. I don't know why they'd be prohibited from granting your dependents 03s.
And why aren't just filing it in Seoul? If they're not there with you, are they of the age they don't have to be there with you? That's kind of the query here.
I think we need more information on this. You probably should schedule an appointment with one of the attorneys.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We're happy to talk to you on this stuff. Let's see.
We need the answer, and I think we need the question.
Love that question. All right. Hitchum. DV 2020. So my mom won the law at the time I was 20 years old. So I made a release so much I'm still going to be eligible for the program. It's too late for me. It's too late for you. Sorry. Okay. Penn versus Blinken. We'll make sure we get that redacted complaint out. I think we were working on that late last week. All right. I thought that was done already. I'm pretty sure I saw a redacted complaint on Friday evening. On what platform are we broadcasting the split screen? This actually is really cool. It's a program called StreamYard.
Yeah, I love StreamYard.
I love StreamYard. It's stumbled upon it, and you can put up to 10 people on a split screen and broadcast basically anywhere now. Originally you couldn't do Twitter. Now you can do Twitter. So it's a great product. Super inexpensive. The questions pop, and on the master screen, the questions pop up, so we can see them. You can add stuff. You can add branding. You can all kinds of stuff. And by the way, StreamYard does not pay me to say these things.
They should sponsor us.
They should sponsor us. The judge is sponsored, not really, by StreamYard. The judge in Jacob says he wants to see what Judge Mehta does about DB 2021. Well, then he's going to be waiting a while. Really. I don't see Judge Mehta issuing decision.
2 months.
What is the Jacob case?
That's a Morrison case in California.
Oh, okay.
That was actually going on the same time as Annunziato DV was. And so he's Judge Chen is just kind of holding off on that. H4 EAD delay suit, that, oddly enough, is not us. That's a separate group of handsome individuals, Wasden, Bonius, and Ayla, that you'll have to have on that. So I don't know.
Lawyers.
Let's see. When General Greaves tells you to stop doing it, you stop doing it. Let's
Not
see.
the Clone Wars. Okay.
How do you get exposure to these class actions? Well, first of all, these aren't class actions. These are mass actions. There's a difference because class actions are a massive pain in the butt, and mass actions aren't. And I'm glad you're here, Ryan. Love your picture, by the way. You could replace the most interesting man in the world with that picture. Why does Pacer say Chris Cooper, but Jeff said Kelly?
Because I may be wrong.
Yeah.
We have like 12 cases, and I'm getting.
Jeff just got back from Hawaii yesterday.
Cooper, Kelly, kind of
it's like
generic sounding name.
6 a.m. for him. It's just like, give him a break on this one.
It's I don't know which lawsuit you're talking about, but I think Penn is Kelly and Cooper is Ramirez, I believe.
Ramirez.
Right. There's the Manila case. All right. Yeah. Uzbekistan moved the case to Abu Dhabi. Look, if Tashkent if not doing interviews, then try to go somewhere else. Let's see. New people at Alexis lawsuit may need to do case situation. Well, we're making that assessment. We're just really waiting to hear back from the government about how they want to do this. And that's kind of normal in these cases because it lessens the amount of work on the judge. Remember, these judges, they have a mountain of cases, and they've got to get to these cases, eventually, and they know everybody's got an important case to them. So if we can make it easy on the judge by working with the government beforehand, that benefits us and you. That's a massive benefit because, one, the judge is not pissed off and they're all there screaming at each other. If you were tuning into Gomez last August, you could tell Judge Gomez was not a happy camper. So there's a way to do these cases that I think is really productive for our clients. You don't, my mom told me you catch a bear with honey, not vinegar. And while I got plenty of vinegar in me, ask my friends, sometimes honey's just easier and better. Okay. All right. Let's see. Blinken was in Europe a couple of weeks ago. Biden is going to visit Europe. I think they exempt themselves about how that works. All right. Do you anticipate faster prevailing wage and perm processing cases? That's a question, nothing to do with any of our cases, but we all do perm work.
Yeah.
Willie, do you have a comment on that? Do you think things are going to move faster?
Me? I have no idea. I did
I
perms
think
as a
things are
paralegal.
generally going to get better and better as the year moves along.
Keep in mind, before COVID, it was still 4 months to get it at prevailing wage.
Except for the State Department.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't feel like things are significantly different in perm world than they were pre-COVID.
No, they're just taking a little bit longer on final decisions, but it's always taken 3 or 4 months.
Right.
Always to do these cases. The thing that we can do in 2 minutes online, it takes them 4 months to do. Yeah.
And they're still recovering from Trump, not just COVID.
Oh,
so as the year, as the Biden folks settle in and as things, I think a lot of things are going to get better and better process-wise. The longer, the more people that have been appointed get confirmed, and the further we are from the waves in COVID, I think a lot of this stuff's going to get better.
So the government lawyer, he already put his notice up, so you can see it on Pacer, is Joe Carrilli. He was the government counsel, and is the government counsel in the Milligan case. Listen, lecturer coming in. Awesome. Give us a wave when you pass through. Almost like half the world passes through Atlanta on their way to where they're actually going. Let's see. Anything else here? I don't want to skip OPT applications. Again, OPT is a nightmare. I think USC is trying to do the right thing. That's all I can tell you. I just, they did make sure that you didn't fall out of status. So you got that going for you. Okay, you got that going for you. On the 01 onboarding, we want you done at, basically there's no KCC 01s, right? It's an NBC. They just pass the stuff through. They just input it, right? Yeah,
so what the Kentucky consulars, normally if you file an 01, you can file you can file it in duplicate, and the duplicate gets put into what's called the PIM system by KCC. If you didn't do that, if you didn't file a duplicate application, then it takes some time for KCC to put in the duplicate petition, but it shouldn't take a significant amount. I shouldn't delay the case significantly.
Yeah, KCC is involved with non-immigrant data entry. It's confusing. NVC does the K-1s and the immigrant visas. KCC does the green card and the DVs and non-immigrant visa holders.
And so, even if your application wasn't onboarded to KCC, if it's not uploaded to KCC, you can always take a duplicate with you to the interview. So
it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, if you got a notice of approval, that's all we care about.
You're right. I think that's good.
All we care about. Why is London so late? Well, Johnny used to ask people who have July and August appointments. That's what they have available. And let's see here. Yeah, Tom, it's a legitimate concern that we talked about. I don't, it's not going to get to the point, I don't think, that it's going to close consulates. I think everybody's going back to their corner and having a shot of vodka or a drink of orange juice or whatever Joe does. And it will work. This is normal beginning of the presidency posturing, except in Trump time. That's the abnormality of what happened there. Let's see. Venezuelan TV said El Salvador told me they would consider possibly having my interview. They told me they would contact him and respond. You should follow up with the KCC and the consulate. That's what you should do. Let's see here. We got a couple more minutes. A lot of questions today. Round 2 Manila, we're working with government counsel on this. So it was broadly spotlighted with the judge, and we've got another. When's our next update? In 3 weeks? Is that right, Jeff?
May 6th, I believe.
May 6th. Oh, actually, next week.
Actually, there's no more updates on Manila. The next thing we will get is from the government a motion to dismiss on May 6th.
That's right. Yeah, we'll see what they have to say on that.
We're moving forward. Yeah, it's actually being litigated. We're not in holding pattern any longer.
Okay. All right. So let's see here. Other questions. Somebody told us to have manners and let Lily keep starting. We got to stop over speaking Lily.
Where's that?
In fairness, there's a delay on these. We are all in different rooms in different states. So sometimes what seems like interruption is just we can't hear when someone has started and stopped.
Lily's covering for us. We can hear her. And we just did it, and I'm going to apologize. Sorry, Lily. It's old horses, new tricks. We will learn them. Somebody is confused about vinegar versus honey. All I can tell you is Google it. It's a great question, Nicholas. Thank you very much. And we'll end on that. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. We'll be back next Monday. Tomorrow at noon is Joseph and Hall.
No, Thursday. We're Thursday.
Thursday. Greg is tomorrow at 7.
Tomorrow, 7 Central.
7 Central. We'll be
Facebook.
And we'll be on Facebook at 2 on Wednesday.
Maybe I'll get Lily to join me.
That would be awesome. Jeff, you have Facebook on noon on Thursday.
Noon at 2 o'clock Eastern, noon Denver time.
Excellent. And we'll be at 2 o'clock on Friday again. Thank you, everybody. If we get news on a case, we will update you. I promise.
Thank you. We appreciate all of you.
Thank you very much. Keep fighting. Keep the patience.